So additional electoral news happened this week. Sinn Féin is a party in Northern Ireland who believes in Irish unification. They want to essentially buck British, get rid of British rule, and have a united Ireland. That is their whole shtick. They won the most seats in the Parliament in Northern Ireland. And you'll hear a lot about that on the news, but actually that's not really what I want to talk about. The thing that I think is most interesting actually as an election result is that a party called the Alliance Party, which is kind of a liberal centrist party, essentially doubled their vote share in the election and seemed to be gaining prominence. So who are the Alliance Party? So the Alliance Party is essentially what they call themselves non-sectarian. And in Northern Ireland, the context of that is, so the main division politically tends to fall along the lines of, should we join Ireland? And those are the nationalists. Should we have one united Ireland, like a united Ireland party? And then on the other side, you have the unionists, who are kind of a pro-Westminster party, right? They want to be governed by London. So this has been the traditional back and forth over the decades, ever since the Good Friday Agreement was brought into place years and years ago. This has kind of been the fault lines along which people have tethered themselves politically. And this has become kind of, as Irish folk on the ground describe it, an identitarian type thing. So they didn't use those words. They talked about, whether you're unionist or whether you're for United Ireland being one's identity, right? So but this is especially true on the Catholic Protestant thing, right? Because the Catholics are primarily interested in uniting with Northern Ireland, where they're Catholic brethren. The Protestants, of course, are interested in staying with Britain, which is a Protestant, namely Anglican country, right? So there's a bunch of different lines there, but people draw their identities from this sectarian divide. And so the reason that the Alliance Party doubling its vote share and winning a much larger portion of seats than it had is fascinating, because they don't really care as much about that question. And what they do care about is essentially, how can we all get along, right? We live in this place, Northern Ireland. How can we all get along here, right? How can we bridge the divides between the Catholics and the Protestants? What can we do to make this Northern Ireland that we all live in right now a better place for us to live in? And, other than that being kind of like a nice meet in the middle message, it seems to be the message that is being taken on most prominently by young people. So it appears that we have a generational divide as well, not in terms of sectarian divide, whether the young people are in favor of the Unionists or the United Ireland folk, but what appears to be happening is that as the generations grow farther away from the Good Friday Agreement, they seem to care less about where Northern Ireland fits on a map. They're more interested in, hey, this is kind of the situation that we have here. How can we make it a better place? And as more generations of individuals who grew up, who knew nothing but Northern Ireland, grew up, my guess is the Alliance will probably increase its vote share. This isn't particularly surprising, by the way. There is some sense in all places of some kind of destiny politics, right? The idea that generational shifts will functionally change the way that the electoral makeup is done. But in Northern Ireland, that is particularly salient because of the way that the break has happened as far as years go, right? So the generations that are voting now, and perhaps only one generation ahead of them, really have only ever known the idea of living in a Northern Ireland where things are as they are. Now, of course, these situations became more delicate after Brexit because of the protocol, which essentially the protocol essentially tries to mend the gap between having a hard border on the Irish, having a hard Irish border, which was, something that people were very upset about and violent about in the 70s, and keeping the rules in line with differences between British law and European law. So essentially, what this trade protocol does is it pretty much says anything coming to Northern Ireland essentially will be governed by EU rules, and then if it goes on to Britain from there, it'll suffer British rules. And they'll not suffer, but it'll undergo British rules, right? So there'll be some sense where the rules still kind of break off, but in a different way, in order to avoid this hard land border. And this hard land border was one of the reasons people were super upset about the potential of a hard land border, is because this is essentially where a lot of the violence was around the first go around, right? What Bloody Sunday, by the way, occurred during the time where people were fighting over the hard border on the Irish, a hard Irish border. And ever since the Good Friday Accord, there hasn't been a hard border, as it were, on between Northern Ireland and Republic of Ireland. Regardless of how you feel about that, that's just kind of the way it is. So, but as we move forward and people get used to the idea that it exists, the alliance will probably increase its vote share. We'll probably see more people becoming apathetic to the idea of, well, are we part of Ireland or are we part of Britain? You make the best of what you have, right? And I think as people's hearts and minds are moved away from the generations where it's all about which side of the sectarian divide are you on, people are going to react accordingly, right? And truthfully, the people who remember Ireland, who remember the time before the Good Friday Agreement, they're fairly old now. I mean, that is almost 50 years ago, and a lot of them, maybe aging out. And the younger generations have known just the Good Friday Agreement, right? Now, whether that agreement is good or not, the alliance, their particular posture on that is, maybe it's not great in the long term, but, and I'm adding this to their platform, it's what we've got right now, right? So and again, they're kind of all about making the best of it. So I think it's a really interesting dichotomy, and the stories have focused a lot about, will Northern Ireland become will Northern Ireland cede from Britain and become part of the Republic of Ireland now that Sinn Féin has won? And truthfully, I'm going to make a prediction here, and I don't think they will. And the reason I say that is because they just don't have the votes, I believe, to do it on their own. They would need people from the alliance to vote with them, and I don't know if they have the votes there. But truthfully, given that they are officially neutral on the question, and you're not going to get any votes from the Unionists, my guess is we're not going to see Northern Ireland cede in the next couple of years. I just don't really practically see it happening. And maybe I'll be wrong about that, and who knows what implications that'll have. It may not actually change very much, truthfully, but it may cause who knows? It may cause sectarian problems with some of the people who still see a very powerful divide between Catholic and Anglican. But the generations are changing. The way that people see the world is changing. The issues that people deal with are different. And so it'll be interesting to see what the alliance does. Obviously, they're not in government, but they may have the ability to sway government because they are they're a fairly significant party in the parliament. So I look forward to seeing what they do. I'm not necessarily signing off to any of their political ideologies, but I think it's a fascinating development in a country, in a region that has always kind of been torn by these very specific sectarian beliefs. And for it to be different now, I think just gives an opportunity for those people who are living in Ireland to refresh a little bit, right? And by the way, to decide, hey, maybe we should put Alliance in charge and see what they do. So all very interesting. I look forward to seeing how it plays out.
Thanks for watching this video, guys. If you liked it, throw a like on it, share with your friends, and subscribe for more of our content. You can also find all of our videos and clips on youtube.com. Just search Let Them Eat Bread and you'll find all of our content. Alright guys, see you next time. Bye for now.